The formation lap is underway here at Snetterton for the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship. It is the second race of the weekend. It is the longer race because this year, in the new format for the championship, there's a sprint race. There is, if you like, mini enduro that has a mandatory pit stop. We'll come to that in a moment. Let's quickly rattle through the grid. It's got Archie Clark on pole position, and Robert Cronin lines up with him at the front of the grid. 5 wins to Archie Clark, who won yesterday. 1 win this year to Robert Cronin. Cameron Pratt-Thompson is going to line up third on the grid, ahead of Mackenzie Douglas, the reigning champion. Jack Collins is going to start 5th, ahead of Hadley Simpson. Then you've got Nick White 7th, and Harry Gamble, another outright race winner, 8th on the grid. 9th, Ali Al-Jafali, ahead of Alex Duncan in number 27. He will start from 10th, ahead of Dominic Paul and Luke Shaw. Emma Tomlinson of the Ginetta owning family starts 13th. James Townsend 14th on the grid. Then you've got stalwart Ginetta racer, former National Hot Rod World Champion Colin White, starting 15th on the grid. 16th is Amy Tomlinson. James Rowling and Oliver Fordham are going to round out the grid. Now, in yesterday's sprint race, it was Archie Clark the winner from Robert Cronin. They had a good, tight battle all the way through the race. Hadley Simpson was the best of the rest, third, after having to fend off a big battle pack of cars behind him. But in today's race, it could be slightly different with that mandatory pit stop. Of course, many of the drivers doing the Ginetta GT Championship thinking longer term about British GT maybe. And this is Robert Cronin's feet at work, and on and off the brakes, on and off the throttle. Try and get some warmth into the brakes and then let that permeate through into the rubber as well. So Robert Cronin hard at work. It's not just a lap round to the grid. There is an awful lot that can be done and should be done on a formation lap like this. Mackenzie Douglas you're riding with here as well, number 1, the Fox Motorsport entry, which will start on the outside of the second row of the grid, last year's champion. Now, quickly, to get the admin out of the way, pit window is going to be between 20 and 30 minutes of the 40, and line to line, 82.1 seconds is the pit stop time. So 82.1 seconds, the regulation pit stop time, and they will make that run now down to the final left-hander at turn 12. The pace car already bolts for the pit lane, and then our second race of the weekend for the Ginetta GT Championship will be underway. It's slightly overcast in the last couple of hours at Snetterton, but it is still a very hot, very muggy day, and we'll see whether being in these cars for 40 minutes has much of an impact on driver stamina. So the cars then make the run up towards the timing line, and you'll see in a moment Robert Cronin, the man on the outside of the front row, floor the throttle. See if he can outdo Archie Clark away from the line, which they get to now. The race underway then, the clock starts, and a good getaway by Mackenzie Douglas from the outside of the second row of the grid. So number 1, then he makes a good getaway, tries to go around the outside of the traffic, heading into the first corner. He's on the outside line of Cronin, and he does go second. We've got one on the grass already. And a big lose, I'm afraid, for number 3 of James Townsend. That's going to spin him right to the back of the pack. He'll be able to rejoin, I would have thought, but a lot of time is lost in consequence as the leader then comes out of the Wilson hairpin for the first time. And so Archie Clark, the grandson of the late Roger Clark, the great rally driver, he leads the way with Cronin second, Douglas third as they come off turn 3. A short run now along that straight, heading towards Agostini for the first time. This is Jack Collins' view, number 12, trying to pick his way through the traffic. Not really close enough, though, to make a move as they come into Agostini this time around. Back on the power as they come out the other side, one way wide in the background. That was Ali Al-Jafali in the Elite Motorsport car, wide onto the grass. Good little scrap going on there because Jafali is involved now with Alex Duncan as the leaders turn their way for the first time of asking out of Oggies up towards Williams. Now, bearing in mind that this mandatory pit stop has to be done by everybody. Do you get it done early? Do you get it done late? Do you do the arguing over position now? Well, let's see what they are going to be up to in terms of a tactic. Cameron Pratt-Thompson, number 39, started third on the grid. He's fallen back in the queue, though. Jack Collins right on his tail and now looking to make a move. Cameron Pratt-Thompson went really well yesterday. Started on the back row of the grid, but got himself up into 5th place by the end. And he's about to lose a place here, though, because round and through goes Jack Collins, gets himself up one further spot. So Jack Collins making some nice progress. Archie Clark leading the way, but he in turn has got Robert Cronin right up behind him in 3rd place. Then it is now the car of Mackenzie Douglas, and 4th Hadley Simpson, who went well in yesterday's race. Here they come and up towards the timing line to complete lap number 1. And as they do so, an effort is being made there. Look by Harry Gamble, who was a winner earlier on in the season. He started 8th on the grid for this race. He went off the road yesterday, which rather hurt his hopes. He was a winner at Oulton Park and ought to really be in that leading group then as they go across the line. So let's now see what he can do as the cars go by. Heading into turn 1, that is the car of Dominic Paul, number 8, and he goes through in 11th place. Right, challenge being made by Cameron Pratt-Thompson. I think rather more to try and fend people off and actually gain ground on that line. That's Colin White, number 78, goes through, getting ahead of Emma Tomlinson, who had an off in yesterday's race, but Colin White edging his way forward. Colin, the 4x4 dealer from Glastonbury, who was a real hero in oval racing. Started off in humble banger racing, got himself to the pinnacle of oval racing in National Hot Rods, mopped up the World Championship and every other title going over many, many seasons, and then came into circuit racing in Ginettas and has had the odd dalliance elsewhere, but has been a very loyal member of the Ginetta family. And even after a big shunt at Thruxton a few years back, came back undaunted back into Ginetta racing. Big, big moment there for Hadley Simpson, who's off the road, and that's a big, big lose. It was wrong coming out of Hamilton, and it ends going into Oggies, into the barriers. He's way off the racing line, of course, but let's hope he can get the car fired up and rejoin. So he was wrong coming out of Hamilton onto that very dusty grass, no traction, spits the car across the road. Nick White, 57, just ahead here of Harry Gamble, who's the next in the long dynasty. George Gamble, Carrera Cup GB champion. Tom Gamble, former factory driver for McLaren in GT racing, now Aston Martin in hypercar. And Harry looking to try to go around the outside of Nick White. Can't really do it, though, so as they come through the chicane, has to slot back in. This is also not only for 6th overall, but for the lead of the Pro-Am class as well. And we've just had James Townsend blast out of the pit lane. So remember, he had a spin early on. Well, he has pitted, made sure that all is well with the car, get any grass out of the rad, and he's back in the race, but very badly delayed. He's almost a lap down, in fact. Mackenzie Douglas then accelerating his way up towards the timing line. The reigning champion struggling a little bit here. He's not being able to stay on the back of the leaders. Over the line they go. Then it is up front. Clark, 2nd. Cronin, 3rd. Douglas, through they turn. And then in 4th place now is Jack Collins. In 5th place, it is Nick White. 6th is Harry Gamble. All of that a result of that spin for Hadley Simpson. And he is still off the road. Are we going to have a safety car? There is a yellow flag waving on the start line. And yes, the safety car has been called. So safety car called, and Hadley Simpson has not got going. The car is still up against the barrier. There it is, and he's out of the car. Marshall looking at the back to see what damage there is and why the car can't drive away. I just wonder whether something broke that created the spin. But anyway, it isn't for moving. And although to the eye it looks like it's a long way off, the race officials have decided that the race needs to be neutralised to remove that. So all of this will eat into the first stint. It means, therefore, that the gaps are going to be fairly limited when we get to the pit window. So let's have another look. This is in replay. Look at the 4th car, just wide, and then it spits across the road. I wonder whether he hit the curve, something broke, because certainly there was, to the eye, not a very hard impact, but there's a reason clearly that it has not been able to be driven away from that barrier. So the safety car is going to be deployed at the end of this lap. We're under safety car conditions to slow everybody down through this part of the racetrack, and the safety car will be on track, ready to scoop them up at the end of this lap. So up front, Archie Clark, 7/10 of a second, the advantage last time around, but it's all rather academic now that everybody bunches up. You just looked at number 4, the car in the hands of Oliver Fordham, that being one of the Fox Motorsport fleet. Everybody in this championship using a 6.2-litre V8 engine, 390 brake horsepower Ginetta. Top speed of 165 miles an hour. They weigh in at 1,265 kilos, and you've just seen the safety car head out on track. Real shame that for Hadley Simpson, whose mum used to be the CEO of Porsche in the UK and looked after Bentley in Europe, so from a good motoring family. And he was 3rd yesterday. Drove really well, under loads of pressure, didn't put a wheel wrong. Sadly, today, early excursion onto the grass, then into the barriers. Day done, or job done, at least in this. So the field turns through under safety car conditions. Clock ticks on down, of course, all this counting within the 40-minute duration. Mackenzie Douglas here keeping the tyre pressures up, the tyres warm, even on a hot day like this. Still important to keep the tyre pressures, the tyre temperatures exactly where you want them before the resumption of the race. This also slightly helps James Townsend because, of course, he'd lost the best part of a lap. now he's got an opportunity to catch back up as Mackenzie Douglas getting ever so irate with the traffic ahead, saying go forward, but that's not going to do him very much good because you can't go any faster, really, until you get to the safety car, and you can't overtake anyway, so just live with it. Up towards the end of the lap they come. So safety car is on track, and let's, as the field weaves its way over the line, let's have a quick look at the start in replay. A good getaway by Douglas to the outside line. Have a look at the third place car, Cameron Pratt-Thompson. He didn't seem to make such a good getaway. He fell down the order on the first lap as they funnel down towards Riches. Yeah, he lost out to people going all the way around the outside. That was James Townsend being crowded out wide and having his big spin. Jack Collins' view then. Mackenzie Douglas to the left, just ahead. Up to the line, up to the line, up to the line. Lights change, drivers accelerate away. Douglas peels out, goes for a gap on the outside, which actually didn't do much good in the end. And also to the outside there, the car just squeezing around the outside. Hadley Simpson and Collins almost into the back of Pratt-Thompson, who was not quite as brave on the inside as people on the out. Harry Gamble ran the outside as well. So Jack Collins a bit stuck in the traffic and losing track position all the way up towards turn 2 there. At the other side of the hairpin. And then the car's accelerating down towards turn 3, which this is now the same part of the circuit under safety car conditions, much slower pace. And they are about to do the first 10 minutes. And there you can see a long, long way off the race circuit, a long way off the line, is that car of Hadley Simpson. But race control deciding it's got to be moved, and hopefully it won't take too long. So it needs a lift by the look of it, can't just be towed out of the way. So all of that makes it a longer operation. And the drivers then now accelerating, or as best they can accelerating, out of turn 4, behind the safety car. The way that Archie Clark is going, just to occasionally quicken the pace, just to urge a bit more temperature through everything. Nick White there, number 57, he is the leader of the Pro-Am class. The leading Am at the minute is Ali Al-Jafali in 9th place, number 63, the green Saudi Arabian coloured car. Nick White, experienced driver in Ginetta terms, having been last year's Am champion. Mackenzie Douglas, the Pro champion last year. And a lot of work has been put in by Ginetta over the winter. This was a championship that was a bit short on numbers last year, but a lot of hard work has gone into hearing what the drivers want. Is it more races? Is it more track time? What type of race? The pit stop race brought in this year. And the net result of that is much, much bigger grids and better racing as well. So it's a testament to the hard work of Ginetta that we have a far stronger and more interesting championship this year. So as the cars have the A11 as a backdrop, they come now onto Bentley Straight. There is Ali Al-Jafali, the leader of the Am class in number 63. As that car accelerates towards the S's, we have had the first 10 minutes of the race elapse. So there you've got 43, Archie Clark, the race leader. In 2nd place, Robert Cronin. In 3rd place, Mackenzie Douglas, the returning champion. Jack Collins, 4th. Nick White, 5th. And that is a rather sorry sight is Hadley Simpson's car being put onto the back of the low loader. Eventually, being teased a little bit there. That's the reason for the interruption and will be moved shortly. 6th place is Harry Gamble. 7th, Cameron Pratt-Thompson. In 8th place, it is Alex Duncan. 9th, Ali Al-Jafali, brother of Rima Al-Jafali, who is here this weekend to cheer him on. And in 10th place, it is number 21, which is Luke Shaw. So still under safety car conditions, of course. Long laps these, nearly 3 miles. So even 1 lap under safety car takes quite a long time. And the field slowly pouring its way out of Coram down towards turn 12. Pit window will be open in just under 9 minutes' time, in theory. Hopefully we'll have gone back racing with enough laps for a pattern to emerge by that stage, as there is the car of Jack Collins in 4th spot. So the lights stay on the G56 Ginetta safety car that comes over the line. And there is Archie Clark then, weaving around, generating warmth into the tyres. Another driver that's come through Ginetta's junior school up into the GT Championship. Right, Hadley Simpson's car is on the back of the flatbed. Hadley, I think, is on his way with the car back to paddock. So that should be able to be moved relatively quickly, and then we can get things back underway. There is 63, Ali Al-Jafari. 21 behind is Luke Shaw. That's the top two in AM. And then behind it will be Dominic Paul in number 8 next in the line. So everyone weaving around still to maintain tyre temperature, eager to get things back underway at the end of the lap, if possible. Let's see, Hadley Simpson's car should be on the move pretty soon. At the rear of the pack, James Townsend there in the red car. He has now caught up, so on the resumption of the race, there is a chance of getting past number 4, Oliver Fordham, and also Amy Tomlinson's car, not that far up the road either. So the field coming towards Agostini now. Championship with 2 races at Donington, both fell to Archie Clark. The 2 Silverstone races both fell to Archie, but then at Oulton Park, the pattern was broken. 2 different winners, no less. Robert Cronin in the first one, Harry Gamble the second, with Archie Clark getting a second place in the second longer race. These cars that make a proper noise, and you can see the surrounding scenery of Snetterton. 1 or 2 people just trying to get a little bit of water onto their crops, but I don't think hosepipe bans are in force in this part of the world just yet, only elsewhere. Others are thinking about a totally different sort of life and afternoon's activity. But no matter who you are, it's pretty hot out there. Fans down at the end of the lap, waiting for the cars to come back round. Feeding time for some. And the car's currently on that busy infield section, sort of paperclip style, with all of the turns 2 all the way round to 6 and 7 folded into one another. And before there is Oliver Fordham's car. His next target, Amy Tomlinson. Behind is the recovered James Townsend, who has got quite a long career, really. Started in the Ginetta Racing Drivers Club for the Road Gang G40s a few years ago. He's had a spell in Carrera Cup GB in the AM class. Also raced briefly in British GT, but has come into the Ginetta GT Championship this season. Always has a big GT passion, whether it's in multi-mark or one-make GT categories. It's good to have him in the championship this year. Right, I think Hadley Simpson's car is now off the track. It's moved on our track map, at least. So maybe lights can be out fairly soon. Safety car is coming out of bomb hole. Not had confirmation on the timing screen that it's going to be in this time, but the road is pretty much clear. So through Coram and bomb hole they come. Lights are out, so good. We can go racing this time. The Ginetta safety car accelerates then towards the pit lane, and it is up to this man, Archie Clark, with effectively 5 more minutes before the pit window opens to bring them around. So they can probably get a couple of racing laps, maybe 3, before they need to worry about pit stops. And if you're Archie Clark, you just want to get the stop done and maintain the lead. In other cases, it might be useful to get it done early and get out of traffic. So Robert Cronin on his toes, look, urging the car, snapping at the heels of Archie Clark's number 43 leading car to go. But Archie Clark makes a much better restart, because as Robert Cronin was slowing, so Archie accelerated, and he's 3-4 lengths clear. You can't overtake until you get to the timing line, but Mackenzie Douglas now gets a toe, makes the move, does he? Thinks about the outside line. Clark busy weaving to try to break the slipstream effect as they get into turn 1, with Cronin second, Douglas third, Collins fourth then. And up towards Wilson they go. 24 minutes and change on the clock. This is Jack Collins' view. And as they accelerate their way now into the right-hander up at turn 2, the Wilson hairpin, Archie Clark, the dominant driver really in the championship this year, is trying to rebuild that lead advantage. Battle is on for 4th place. Nick White in the white and orange and blue car around the outside of Jack Collins. If he can get away with that without running too wide, that'll be a nice move, and he has got the job done. So very nicely executed from the Pro-Am leader, Nick White. Gets up into 4th place. Jack Collins straight away is on the attack again. Look as they come into Agostini. Can't really get up the inside there, but what he can do is defend from number 23. That is Harry Gamble, still in that group. This is Jack Collins' view then, now staring at the back of Nick White's car. Avoids that tyre stack on the inside of Hamilton's, designed to deter people from corner cutting, but if you do strike it, then it does an awful lot of damage. Field up now towards the exits of Williams, and that in turn brings you on to Bentley Straight. So down the back straight of the circuit they go. This lap number 6 then, 23 minutes on the clock, and don't forget they've got to make this pit stop of 82.1 seconds line to line. Cameron Pratt-Thompson, number 39, the largely orange car there, weaving around to try to find a way past Gamble. Cameron from third on the grid, seventh in the race, having really been mugged at the start, so he's trying to rebuild the race if he can. And Mackenzie Douglas, the reigning champion, just not really being able to get onto terms with the top two, despite all the shouting from behind the wheel under the safety car. He's not been able to replicate that into pace on the restart. If anything, Cronin is looking more menacing against Clark then for the race lead. Here they come, up towards the timing line once again, nose to tail they run. So Robert Cronin in the wheel tracks. He knows he can do this. He's been a winner at Oulton Park already this season. Is there going to be a gap to dive into heading into the first corner? Not there, there isn't. So Archie Clark, for the moment at least, stays where he is. Cronin thinks about a move maybe up to the Wilson hairpin. There's a gap there, but he's not really close enough. And by the time he's committed to a line, the corner is upon him. They turn through the hairpin. There is Ali Al-Jafali battling with Alex Duncan. That's a Pro-Am car leading an Am car. The white one of Duncan, the green one of the Saudi driver Ali Al-Jafali. Mackenzie Douglas goes through in third place, but you can see the time lost on the resumption of the race. And some of that is while he's defending from Nick White, but he's not looking ever likely at all to get back onto terms, is he? With Cronin second, and Clark, the race leader, the MDD car in the lead of the race, the white car, not getting away. Wide coming out of turn 4, though. Gamble even wider. Pratt-Thompson likewise. Got to be careful of doing too many track limit abuses, otherwise they soon tot up and penalties fly. Bit of a snake maybe under braking there from the yellow car of Robert Cronin as he turned through. So Clark, the race leader, this lap 7, and the pit window is going to open in over a minute's time. That's Harry Gamble, still 6th, so he's chipped his way up from 8th on the grid and then plateaued a little bit, so finding it harder to make more progress as the cars now come into the S's. Now, with it being a longer race, are drivers not pushing quite so hard early on? Are they looking after the Pirelli rubber, and then they've got something with which they can push late race? Cameron Pratt-Thompson hoping he can, as there another sideways moment from Cronin, just impacts slightly on the exit speed from Bombhole. Coming into Coram now, through that long, long right he comes, and then hard on the brakes. He's got 3 brothers all that take part in the sport, 2 in rallying, and his younger brother Colin in the Ginetta Junior Championship here this weekend as well. Keith, eldest of the lot, is 4 times a British rally champion. There going by is the car of Dominic Paul, third in Am, keeping Colin White at bay as the leaders go by. Fastest lap now, Harry Gamble. So the man in 6th place, lapping quicker than anybody, but he might get stuck in traffic before much longer, as again Cronin comes out of riches, clawing all over the back of 43 Archie Clark. So nobody able to pit, window not yet open, but it will be for the leaders at the end of the next lap. This is on board again with Cronin. So close now to the back of Archie Clark. Where does he think about making the move? It's going to be on the run into Agostini, is it? The pit window is open now, that's confirmed. Clark tries to defend the inside line. To the inside eventually goes Cronin, but there wasn't enough width. They couldn't get a Ginetta up the inside line, so he's got to sit back, sit tight, try again. Number 43. That's the race leader, Archie Clark, who goes by. Fastest lap still to Harry Gamble. In Pro-Am, it's still Nick White. In Am, it's still Ali Al-Jafali. Now, with the top 2 starting to argue a little bit more, that's just helping Mackenzie Douglas to get a little bit nearer. Not by much, but just a little. And, depending on how things go in the pit stops, then he could be more of a factor in the second part of the race. So the race leaders, again, down Bentley Straight. It is still that fastest lap set by Harry Gamble. And Nick White and Mackenzie Douglas arrive side by side, and White goes through for 3rd place. Now, that's a good move, and really bad news for Mackenzie Douglas. He was getting all excited about gaining places on the resumption. He's actually dropped back, so the reigning champion's tough weekend gets no better here. Yesterday, he picked up a penalty for track limit offences and was in 9th place by the end of the race. And now Mackenzie Douglas, having been 4th on the grid, falls to 4th in the race and is under attack, look, because there is Jack Collins, Harry Gamble and Cameron Pratt-Thompson all queued up behind him as the leader bails for the pit lane. In comes White, in comes Collins. So some getting the stop done at the start of the window, and then they can carry on with the race. No, they can go all the way to the end. Here is Archie Clark then up the pit lane, and it is pit in line to pit out. In theory, the car needs to be stationary for 60 seconds, but as long as it's 82.1 line to line, then regulations are sorted. So what that now gives us is Robert Cronin in the lead outright. You're looking at Ali Al-Jafari going by, and there the MDD team going through the pit stop for Archie Clark. Elite Motorsport getting ready for cars to come in as well. Towards us comes the new race leader then, Robert Cronin. He is one of those elite drivers, Eddie Ives' team, and Robert Cronin then was 11/10 up on Nick White. There's the fight going on between Harry Gamble and Cameron Pratt-Thompson as they turn up from the left-hander of Agostini, and Ali Al-Jafari crawling all over the back this time around of Alex Duncan, looking to gain track position. That's Pro-Am leader, sorry, Pro-Am third versus Am leader. There they are. The white car is Alex Duncan, the green one, the Saudi colours of Ali Al-Jafari. There goes Jack Collins, and he gets away ahead of Archie Clark. So that's going to be a change for position. So Archie Clark has lost 2 places at least. Keep an eye on the pit stop times here as they rejoin. So back out goes Collins. He blasts away. The other car that you can see getting away is Mackenzie Douglas. So he's jumped ahead of Archie Clark as well. And not only is he third in the queue, but Clark is a long way back when they come out of the pit lane. So he is round about 5 seconds slower than Douglas and about 6.1 seconds slower than Jack Collins. So a really good stop by Collins has helped immeasurably here, and a really bad stop for Archie Clark has gone against him. So the MDD Racing car falls back a long way. Into the pit lane now comes Nick White. Into the pit lane also looks to be Harry Gamble. So Cronin carries on in the lead for another lap. Gamble arrives at the elite pit area. Further up the pit lane comes now Nick White's Raceway Motorsport entry. He stops and Colin White arrives. The CWS team goes to work, Colin's own squad. Tyre pressure's being checked for Nick White. This is where the heat soak kicks in, because while you're out on track, at least there's a little bit of air getting into the car. All of a sudden you stop and you get very hot indeed. So Jack Collins is potentially going to be the race leader after the pit stops, depending on what kind of pit stop times the others are able to offer up. He leads the way with Mackenzie Douglas chasing on behind him. There is Nick White's car over his shoulder. Others serving the stops as well, because not only are White and Gamble in, but Luke Shaw, Colin White, Emma Tomlinson and James Townsend all stopping on that lap. Ready to go is Harry Gamble. Steph Bush with the lollipop lets him go, and down the pit lane then goes the car of Harry Gamble, winner at Oulton Park. This is Jack Collins, so now we're going to see whether or not he can stay in touch with, or even ahead of, Nick White and Harry Gamble. They are coming out of the pit lane. Accelerating up the pit straight is Collins. Nick White now is back up to pace, so he's going to be the leader. It's going to be Gamble for second. It's going to be Collins third, Douglas fourth, and fifth in the queue is Archie Clark, who led before the pit stops. Rejoining there also now, number 21, Luke Shaw. So you can see how that bad pit stop has really gone against Archie Clark from leading the way. And okay, the gaps came down under the safety car, but he's really fallen a long, long way back in the queue now as the leaders come through for lap 10. Now, having talked about the order, in fairness, we've got this car, which is Robert Cronin to factor in, and also Cameron Pratt-Thompson, because Cameron has stayed out for another lap. So in comes Cronin, in comes Duncan, in comes Jafari as well. Ali Al-Jafari getting ready to go, and 26 of Robert Cronin is almost through the first part of the pit stop. The tyre pressure is being checked on one side, then go to the other. So that regulation stop time will cycle through. So Cameron Pratt-Thompson stays out and leads the way. The best of the stoppers right now is this car of Nick White. So we need to see where that is going to be in relation to Robert Cronin. Nick White has had a second place in the equivalent race at Donington. The Silverstone pit stop race was Clark from Simpson from Douglas. And the Oulton Park one was won by Harry Gamble. So Robert Cronin's car is pushed back, and Eddie Ives on the stopwatch will let the car go when the regulation time hits go. So are we going to have a pro car or a Pro-Am car in the lead? We'll find out, because you've got Nick White then here accelerating his way through up to the end of the lap. He's being chased by Harry Gamble, who also runs in Pro-Am but has been an outright race winner this year. Here they come, but I think Robert Cronin is going to be just able to stay ahead. It's going to be marginal, because only now did he accelerate over the pit exit line, but Robert Cronin goes slightly over that pit exit line. Hopefully that's not going to be too much of an issue for him, but Robert Cronin leads then ahead of Nick White. In real terms, this is the lead. Cameron Pratt-Thompson, Dominic Paul have yet to stop, so they are still 1 and 2. But you've got Cronin from White. Gamble is up into 3rd place. So there's been a real shuffle on the pit stops here now with 13 minutes of the race to go. Way out wide in the background is Gamble. So there's Cronin the leader, White 2nd, and also the leader in Pro-Am. Gamble is 3rd, and for 4th place now it is going to be Jack Collins, and a rather distant 5th, Mackenzie Douglas, and then 6th, Archie Clark, that led the first stint. So it's all unravel for Clark. This is James Townsend, who had his spin early on in the race and a pit stop. And because of the fact that the safety car allowed him to catch back up again, he has been able to make a bit of ground. He was 13th over the timing line last time through. The fastest lap of the race now done by the race leader, Cameron Pratt-Thompson, getting away while everybody else pits. That gives him clear real estate, so he's trying to get on with the job now of consolidating some sort of cushion. And a 1:57.141, the fastest lap of the race, now that he's got himself in totally clear air. There he is, clear air no longer, traffic ahead, and he dives up the inside line. Gets ahead of Amy Tomlinson's car, so Cameron Pratt-Thompson very wide coming out of Agostini. Just had Dominic Paul blast back into the race, and the fastest lap confirmed for Cameron Pratt-Thompson. Turns now into Oggies up towards Williams, another slower car ahead. James Rowling it is, who is going to be dispensed with shortly. But Pratt-Thompson's got to be careful about this, because he needs to be in at the end of the lap to serve the regulation stop. So there is Robert Cronin coming through. He is the best placed of the stoppers now, ahead of Nick White. The yellow car of Harry Gamble. The red car is Jack Collins 4th. 5th is Mackenzie Douglas, with Archie Clark almost up with him. Then Ali Al-Jafali behind, who is still leading the way in Am. So Cronin to White is a 2.5 seconds. And the margin at the moment between Douglas and Clark, 0.3 of a second. So Cameron Pratt-Thompson has got to be in this time. There is less than a minute of the window left. So through turn 12 he comes, accelerates now up towards pit in, and Cameron Pratt-Thompson peels in. He is the last driver to serve the regulation pit stop, slows the car down, and that's when the clock starts, when you get to the pit in line. Colin White still in the pit lane. That seems to be a rather long stop in the background. He's been there for 2 laps. So problems for Colin White, it feels, as the race leaders work their way through the infield. So the end of this lap, when he rejoins, we'll be able to see where Cameron Pratt-Thompson is in relation to the opposition. Driving standards flag, though, for the race leader now. Robert Cronin being warned about track limit abuses. So Robert Cronin needs to be careful. Any more penalties are going to come. Mackenzie Douglas versus Archie Clark here. Look, coming out of the right-hander of Williams onto Bentley straight. That's Cronin the leader. Nick White 2nd, class leader, and therefore fending off Harry Gamble, who's got Jack Collins behind him as well in 4th place. And a bit of a wobble under braking there. Mackenzie Douglas fights the car into the S's. Does he get away with it? He does. Up the curb goes Archie Clark. He survives that moment and carries on. Not really being able to do much at the moment about Douglas, but trying to apply the pressure as they come now out of Bombhole through Coram. There, ready to go is Cameron Pratt-Thompson. The team released the car, so it should all be orchestrated beautifully so that when he crosses the pit exit beam, 82.1 seconds and maybe a bit more have been completed, but no less, because otherwise you're going to end up with a penalty. So there, into the lead confirmed. Cronin, 2nd place. White, 3rd place. Gamble. And where does Pratt-Thompson blend back in? 5th, behind Jack Collins. So they've all bunched up, but you can see that Mackenzie Douglas and also Archie Clark are the 2 big losers, not only because of slow pit stops, but also by squabbling now. They've delayed themselves, and therefore the lap times that Cameron Pratt-Thompson was being able to offer up on a clear road have helped him to vault ahead of them on the pit stop. So the battle continues, but here are 2 drivers that can feel decidedly shortchanged by the end of all of this. All pit stops are done. Nobody short on the pit stops. That's the good news, so no penalties likely to come. That's all confirmed by TSL, the timekeeping service for the championship, as you look at Mackenzie Douglas then coming under attack. Again, Archie Clark trying to work out where he can make the move, but having dominated the first stint, this is all something of a rude awakening for Archie Clark to find himself so far down the order. Look, 1 minute and 30 that he was in the pits for, and now he makes his move up on the inside. He lost 5 seconds in the pits to Mackenzie Douglas, but he goes ahead of him on the track, moves himself back through on the inside line. So nice move, and that gives him now 6th place. I think Archie Clark might say, so what, given that he thought this was a race that was his to win, but at least he is fighting back as best he can. Down they go underneath the vehicle bridge now, heading into the braking zone for turns at Brundle and Nelson. The left and the right-handers avoid that big sausage curve that tends to launch the car. So there you've got Mackenzie Douglas coming up towards Bombhole. He's going to feel decidedly annoyed, I would have thought, about this race. Came in with high hopes, returning to the championship. He is the reigning champion after all, but it's just not hooked up for him this weekend, and he's lost places in the pits and now on track as well. So Cronin to Pratt Thompson. Last time was because one was leaving the pits as the other one crossed the line. Now the real lead battle is Cronin to White, and that's 1.7 seconds. In 3rd place, Harry Gamble, who is losing touch with the 2 ahead of him, lapping a bit slower there. In 4th place, Jack Collins, he's also lapping slower. So actually, in terms of lap time, Robert Cronin now is in the box seat. He's able to build this advantage. The cars are turning their way up towards turn 2, that Wilson hairpin. We've got 7 minutes on the clock as they do break for the corner. Ali Al-Jafari just behind Mackenzie Douglas here, so you've got a Pro being chased by the AM leader. Douglas down to 5th in class, but I think he will feel really quite short-changed at the end of all of this. Jack Collins, in the meantime, is coming under attack from Cameron Pratt Thompson. And that margin, 0.7 of a second at the start of the lap. Pratt Thompson, don't forget, has done the fastest lap, so we know that he's got good pace in clear air. He's probably used up enough of that now in getting onto the back of Collins. Now life becomes rather more difficult as he tries to get himself up 1 further place. Collins coming through the right-hander now at Oggies up towards Williams. That switchback nature of the infield where you've got cars sort of all over, a bit like a scale electric track coming from all sides. Lots of corners all crammed into the middle of the track. A long way back now, Oliver Fordham, who is running on his own, way out of place. And Colin White, I think, is pretty much a retirement now. He's still in the pit lane, but he's lost 4 laps. So sadly, for whatever reason, Colin White's race run. So through there comes Cameron Pratt Thompson all over the back of Jack Collins, who defends, going up now into the right-hander of Bombhole. Cameron Pratt Thompson looking to try to make a move. He thinks about the inside at Cora, and that's not really going to work out for him, I don't believe, as they come through the long right, heading up towards turn 12. He's trying to force a mistake out of Jack Collins, who's a little bit wider through Cora, but he regroups in time, and then now swings the car up out of the left-hander at turn 12, heading towards the timing line now. So the race leader, Robert Cronin, is on to lap number 15. Jack Collins still keeping at bay a hard charging Cameron Pratt Thompson, who tries one side, tries the other, and now into the braking zone for turn 2, Wilson hairpin. So Cronin 2 seconds clear of Nick White, who is leading Pro-Am, and Cameron Pratt Thompson making amends really for that poor first lap when he got mugged and fell down the order. He is certainly on the attack, as you can see, and he's not giving up in his quest to make up some ground here. Cars come down towards Agostini, lap 15. As far as the other classes are concerned, Nick White ahead of Harry Gamble and then Alex Duncan in Pro-Am. Am is still Ali Al-Jafari, but he's got a car between him and then his opposition of Luke Shaw. Dominic Paul, 3rd in the Am category. There is number 12. That's Jack Collins, who is running 4th on the road at the minute. Just over 4 minutes of the race remain here. So Cameron Pratt Thompson has done some hard work, but now he's slightly struggling, it seems, to be able to make a move against Jack Collins. And as the leaders come down towards the S's, is Nick White settling for a class win? Harry Gamble not able to live with Nick White. Maybe some of this, again, is down to how people looked after tyres early on, but Mackenzie Douglas fading away there down in 7th place. There is Ali Al-Jafari, number 63, the Am leader. We saw his sister race in this country in single-seaters for a time, and then last year drove in the GT4 race doubleheader at the Jeddah round of GT World Challenge Europe in the GT4 European Series. Rina Al-Jafali now thinking more of a sports car route, and Ali Al-Jafali, her younger brother, doing likewise. So, race leader comes up to the line. Robert Cronin goes by, 2.3 seconds to the good now. 3 more minutes are on the clock. So what, 2 more laps? They're lapping in just under 2 minutes at the moment. There you've got the fight going on still between Collins and Pratt Thompson. And this is probably the closest fight on track right now. Jack Collins covers off the inside line. Cameron Pratt Thompson thinks about the outside. Wide in, tight out, but even if you get up alongside, you're on the outside line then for the next corner. So it's finding a gap on the inside here into turn 3 that he wants, and there's no way by there. Jack Collins covers off the line. The run down towards Agostini now. Cameron Pratt Thompson does go to the outside line. Can he drive all the way around the outside? He's going to try. The danger is here. He just gets run out of road. He does. He ends up on the curb and has to slot back in behind Collins. Can he then dive up the inside? No. But Hamilton, the line is already taken by Jack Collins. So Cameron Pratt Thompson getting ever more frustrated. He tries the outside line going up now towards Oggies, and a slide prevents him from getting the undercut off the corner. So Cameron Pratt Thompson is trying hard, but trying a bit too hard there. Tiny little error, and that spoils the run onto the straight. And another wide run there, look, as he comes off the corner. So Cameron Pratt Thompson accelerates now along the Bentley straight. Just up the road ahead, Jack Collins, but you can see that gap has pulled slightly greater, and if anything, now number 43, the recovering Archie Clark, might just be able to have one go at getting past the sideways Cameron Pratt Thompson, CPT sideways there as he came out of the S's, and the smoother style of Clark is going to help him possibly now coming into Coram. Cameron Pratt Thompson's had a scrappy lap because he's dropped away from Collins with 2 or 3 little moments, and he's now possibly under attack from Clark as they get down towards turn 12 again. End of the lap here. Over the timing line goes Cronin, the race leader. Nick White 2.4 seconds back. Last lap then is started. Leaders go by. In 3rd place, Harry Gamble. In 4th place, Jack Collins, and Cameron Pratt Thompson 5th. May not necessarily hang on to that. He's got Archie Clark up behind him now. Pratt Thompson moves across to cover off the inside line as they head now up towards the hairpin at turn 2. Archie Clark sitting in the wheel tracks, looking to see where he can make that move, but in real terms he's running out of options. Have a look at the background. Ali Al-Jafari is now onto the back of Mackenzie Douglas, whose race really has unravelled from 4th on the grid. I wonder whether Mackenzie has got a problem, because that car just does not have the pace, does it, considering where he was on the grid, given what he achieved last year, and indeed how much closer Jafali has now got to him. So here at Agostini they run pretty much together. Off the road there, however, has gone number 27, which is Alex Duncan. That's coming out of Riches, heading up towards Wilson. And there's something wrong with the left front corner there. You saw the wheel not looking right. So it's either loose or deflating. Here, Clark looking to make the move, goes to the outside line. He's not going to be able to make that stick, surely, but he thinks about it. It's a bit dusty and a bit slippy on the outside, so Clark's going to have to really work hard, goes wide up the curb, and he can't therefore make a move against Cameron Pratt Thompson on this last lap of the race, coming now down towards the Brundle-Nelson S's. Heading into the braking zone then. The orange car, Cameron Pratt Thompson turns through. Tucked up behind him, you can see, is Archie Clark. And as they accelerate now on towards Coram, this is the race leader, Robert Cronin. He's looking for a 2nd win of the season from the outside of the front row. Good pit stops, good strategy in terms of when to make them as well, have really paid dividends. And so number 26, Robert Cronin, heads up towards the checkered flag. The 2nd race of the weekend in the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship, and a race win for Robert Cronin. Checkered flag is waved to the Irish driver. Robert Cronin wins. Nick White 2nd, and he wins in Pro-Am. 3rd, Harry Gamble. Jack Collins for 4th. Cameron Pratt Thompson 5th. Early leader Archie Clark only 6th. And does Mackenzie Douglas hang on for 7th? He does, ahead of the Am winning 8th placed Ali Al-Jafari. 9th would have been Alex Duncan, but we saw him off the road on that lap, so that's going to promote Luke Shaw and Dominic Paul potentially to the top 10. And that is the end of Alex Duncan's race. The left front didn't look right, and he has got as far as Agostini. And does a wheel come off? It does. I said it looked loose when we saw the car rejoining earlier on. The wheel makes a bid for freedom. That goes bouncing, bouncing, bouncing across the grass, into the barriers, and ends up bouncing back down onto terra firma. But after nearly 40 minutes of racing. That's quite a scare for a wheel to just come off the car. Whether there was a curb strike that broke something, it's rather harder to gauge. But Alex Duncan thinking, what, how, where? Well, the net result is he is a retirement. Now, we have a time penalty being applied for Archie Clark, and that's 5 seconds for track limit offences. So he drops to 8th place behind Ali Al-Jafali at the very end of the race. So Archie Clark lost the lead in the pits, and then he lost again with a 5-second penalty for track limit offences late race. So when it's not your day, it is not your day, and poor old Archie Clark will be very annoyed about that, to say the least. There is Archie. So a slow pit stop by the MDD team first of all, and then the track limit penalty adding on to compound the woe. There is the race winner then, Robert Cronin, going offline on this in-lap to find a bit of pickup, to help with the weight, to help with the ride height. And another really interesting race in the Ginetta GT Championship. The series which will move to Brands Hatch and to Donington to round out its season, as ever supporting the British GT Championship. That's got 2 more race weekends after this one. So 2 more races to come at Brands, 2 more races at Donington in the Ginetta GT Championship. Nick White, there you had a look at the Pro-Am winner, and Ali Al-Jafali, the winner in Am. So down the pit road they come. Let's have a look at the results then of the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship. Round 8 of the series, the pit stop race, won by Robert Cronin from Nick White in 2nd place, Harry Gamble taking 3rd. Jack Collins 4th from Cameron Pratt-Thompson, Mackenzie Douglas in 6th, then Ali Al-Jafari promoted to 7th with a penalty for Archie Clark, Luke Shaw 9th and Dominic Paul in 10th. The class winners, Robert Cronin, Nick White and Ali Al-Jafari in Pro, Pro-Am and Am respectively. A good start made by Archie Clark. Mackenzie Douglas getting the run on the outside line as the cars went up towards turn 1. Douglas coming out in 2nd place, and it looked as though the hard work had paid off, as there was a big lose for James Townsend, and that spun him to the back of the queue. Clark led then up towards turn 2, Cronin on the outside of Douglas, trying to brave it out with Hadley Simpson behind. And as the cars went towards turn 3, Douglas was certainly on the attack. Cronin, though, got back ahead of him and was able to move his way through and then set off in pursuit of the race leader, as Hadley Simpson went wide coming out of Hamilton's, bounced across the grass, had a big lose and ended up in the barriers. That in turn brought out the safety car, and as we went racing, the pit stop window was ready to open. Archie Clark led Robert Cronin and Mackenzie Douglas, but it was a bad pit stop for Clark. A good stop though for Nick White, as he would take 2nd place overall and also win in Pro-Am. Clark, late race, got himself ahead of Mackenzie Douglas, but got a 5-second penalty for track limit offences. That put him down to 8th place. As through it all came Robert Cronin for a 2nd victory of the season in the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship here at Snetterton.